So in a way, now I had Dodgers in 6. I was a game off, but I did have the Dodgers winning the series. And a lot of it was because, and I think those that picked the Yankees, respect to them, but this has kind of been coming for a while. If you look at the numbers, notice the big sort of like, oh, that pops out in a bag graphic. Here's what the Yankees have been since June 13th. 2 games under 500, the 18th best record in baseball, 19th in average, 18th in ERA, 19th in stolen bases, 20th in hits, but 5th in home runs. What does that tell you? It tells you they're a one-trick pony. It tells you that they have one way to beat you, and when it's not working, they're cooked. And I have criticized Brian Cashman. I have criticized this franchise. It feels like my entire show's existence is that, and again, it goes to what I've said. Like the Dodgers are a prime example. They use analytics. You better believe the Dodgers use analytics. It doesn't drive Dave Roberts every single solitary decision. It appears to be the case with Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, and it's not working, and it's the reason they haven't won for 15 years. Is that if you have a primarily power-hitting lineup with Judge, with Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Jazz Chisholm, you want guys hit for power, don't get me wrong. But it's also nice to have a Mookie Betts who can just get a base hit and get on. By the way, Shohei Ohtani's become that. Shohei Ohtani, second in baseball in stolen bases. There's a flexibility. There's a sort of, there's a way about the Dodgers where they're comfortable being uncomfortable. They can beat you multiple different ways. The Yankees got to have the long ball going or they're kind of toast. We saw throughout the course of this World Series is that, we saw game 1. The game 1, 3 runs. Game 2, they scored 2 runs in game 2. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah. In game 3, 2 runs off of Verdugo, late home run. They got it going with 11 in game 4 because the long ball was working. By the way, the long ball was working game 5 until that defense showed up. You say, Bryce, they did not show up at all. Matter of fact, they were kind of the opposite. No, they showed up and did what they've been doing over the course of the season. 5th inning, top of the 5th inning comes from the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Yankees lead 5-0. If not for a near, I think it was Judge, who almost hit a homer into left field. That thing could have been a wrap right there at like 8-0. We would have been heading to a game 6. Top of the 5th inning, Kike Hernandez gets on base. Okay, no harm, no foul. That's not going to kill you. Garrett Cole's been throwing a gym. Then here comes Edman, who is the MVP of the NLCS. He comes up, hits a routine pop fly to Aaron Judge. There's no other way you could say it except the fact he just straight up dropped it. That's no other way you could say it. Kike Hernandez beats him out to second. Then there's a routine ground ball hit to Anthony Volpe, the shortstop for the Yankees, who then had just some of it was Kike Hernandez, the way he slid, which is a good veteran move on his part, but just a god-awful throw to Jazz Chisholm at third. That gets dropped. All of a sudden, you got bases loaded, nobody out, and you're in trouble. But then, despite, unacceptable defense, Garrett Cole does Garrett Cole things. He says, hey, guys, I got you. I'm going to get the next 2 batters out. As a matter of fact, you got Will Smith grounds into fielders. Sorry, not Will Smith. Gavin Lux strikes out. Shohei Ohtani strikes out, bases loaded. So now you got bases loaded with nobody out. Now you got 2 gone, and you're thinking, oh, this could be like the turning point in the series. Like, here's the opening point for the Dodgers. And Garrett Cole says, no, sir, you're not taking advantage of this. And then Mookie Betts, some of this was Mookie hustling, and that's what Mookie's done his whole career going back to Boston. Mookie hits a routine ground ball, Anthony Rizzo at first. And we can blame Cole for not covering. That's fine. Rizzo froze. There's no way, I'm watching him. He just flat-footed. Doesn't even, again, it's Mookie's probably going to beat an old Anthony Rizzo out. Anthony Rizzo's still got to at least try and make a play at first, get the Yankees out of the inning. All of a sudden, Mookie reaches safe, run scores. Freddie Freeman tacks on 2 more. Teoscar Hernandez taps on 2 more. After that, tie game, and the Dodgers ride that momentum to the finish. And A-Rod said it. Alex Rodriguez, who I was never crazy about as a Red Sox fan, to put it mildly, but I think A-Rod's a fantastic analyst. And he said after the game, it's one of the worst defensive innings he's ever seen in a playoff game. And I completely obviously agree with him, but I'll go a step further. And it's a word in sports that is the most overused word by far in our sports discourse, by far, but it applies here. That was a choke job by the Yankees. Not the series, but the 2 Cole starts. Because I said coming in this series, and I picked the Dodgers, if the Yankees want to win this thing with poor defense, with a one-dimensional offense, they're going to have to win the Garrett Cole starts. They have to win game 1. They're going to have to win game 5. Well, game 1, Garrett Cole was awesome. They took him out early. Game 1 was on Aaron Boone almost exclusively. Overused his bullpen to the point where you get to Nestor Cortez, who hasn't pitched a month, throwing to Freddie Freeman, who smacks a walk-off homer out into right field, again, against a cold reliever who hasn't gone in a month off injury. That was on Aaron Boone. And then game 5, it was completely and solely on the defense. Garrett Cole had 5, I don't know if I've ever heard of this in some time, 5 unearned runs given up by Garrett Cole. And so this was not the series as a whole. The Dodgers were supposed to win because they're the better team. But if we're just looking individually at 1 and 5, the Cole starts where he was great in both. It's on the manager in the first game. It's on the defense the second game. And so I think for New York, and by the way, we can show you, because the story is and should be, another postseason for Aaron Judge where he looks like a shell of his power hitting self that goes on to do spectacular things, and he's going to be the American League MVP once again in 2024, deservedly so. But Aaron Judge in the postseason is a below average player. The home runs is impressive, but he's got to in the playoffs, which by the way, he's been in since 2017. 205 average, 45 hits, 16 homers, 34 RBIs. He's struck out 86 times, and he's a 500 player. Now, again, baseball's a team sport. That doesn't apply to Aaron Judge the way it would like an Aaron Rodgers, who we'll talk about later, or a quarterback, for example. But he's the face of the franchise. He's a 288 batter in the regular season. That plummets to 205 in the playoffs. I mean, by the way, game 5, where Judge blew it defensively, that was the first time that it was like, oh, there's Aaron Judge in the World Series. It's about time. That was Aaron Judge's first multi-hit playoff game since 2019. And yet and still, because he based on the fact that he was pissed off when he got hit by a pitch early in the series, it's like, okay, he still has confidence that he can get out of the slump. This is why I say choke job. The moment looked a little bit too big for some of those Yankees. It didn't look too big for Stanton. It didn't look too big for Garrett Cole. It didn't look too big for Juan Soto, who, by the way, Juan Soto's got a championship. I think Cole won a championship with the Astros, if I'm not mistaken. I think. The rest of those guys, Judge, he's never seen that stage before. Or Jazz Chisholm, or who was fine. Or Anthony Volpe. Like, these guys are not used to this. Gleyber Torres, they're not used to this big stage. And so whereas the Dodgers, Freeman's won a title. Betts has won 2. Ohtani has pitched the World Baseball Classic, was fantastic in it. Struck out Mike Trout, his former teammate, to end it. And so I think right now for New York, it's a situation where you're probably going to lose Juan Soto. Because it's not going to be a matter of the Yankees, and this is what's always driven me crazy about the narrative that their fans try to paint that I don't think anybody buys, is that just the legacy of the New York Yankees, just the pinstripes, just the 27 titles, just that in and of itself, coupled with money, of course, will put us over the top to get certain free agents. Not really. That's kind of the Dodgers thing now. The Padres got money. Okay, the Red Sox got money, they just won't spend it. That's what drives me crazy. Plenty of teams out there got plenty of cash to spend. Just like the Mets got a ton of cash to spend. If you ask me which team in New York is going in a better direction, I'd say it's probably we say same old Mets. I don't know. The Mets were like way better than the Yankees the second half of this year. Mets from June 13th on, best team in baseball. Yankees 18th. In the weaker of the two leagues. So I think for New York, this was kind of their Aaron Judge, 32 years old. Now he's in his prime. I'm not saying he's like going to retire in 2 years, but it felt like this was the year to get that title, and they kind of blew it. Now, of course, as a Red Sox fan, I'm overjoyed. The fact that a third of baseball has won a World Series title more recently than those big bad Yankees. Poppy, say it to me once again, because I forgot what you said earlier in the show.
Yankees lose.
All right, I forgot that. Thank you so much, David Ortiz. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.